Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to talk about this first part of the week in pro wrestling. That's right, we're going to cover Monday Night Raw. No NWA Power, they're still on hiatus until February. Well, they'll be debuting on the CW app, which that's free. So if you want to continue watching NWA, it's there. I'll also be covering AEW Dynamite and the return of TNA Impact Wrestling. I'm excited to talk about that one. But for now, we're going to start off with Monday Night Raw and a nice little tribute and vignette to Martin Luther King Jr. on his day. Which, very nice, very sentimental. And of course, we see, first off, the arrivals of both Seth Rollins and Jinder Mahal. Seth with his young daughter, too, which, that's very sweet. I believe that's her on-screen WWE debut, so I'm guessing she probably is going to be a wrestler. But we start off in the ring with Cody freaking Rhodes, doing his little shit stuff. Bringing up, I've finally gotten over the Nakamura hump. And the reason I'm here, I came back to WWE with the Royal Rumble around the corner. It's time for me to Drew McIntyre's music hits. And this is interesting. And then he continues, so Cody, what do you want to talk about? Which, condescending, making fun of that catchphrase, I love it. Anyway, pretty much brings up their history, both inside and out of WWE. And I completely forgot they were tag team champions. Like, I think that was during Cody's Undashing days. Where he wore the protective face mask, which that's crazy to think about. And then thinking about Drew McIntyre as the Chosen One. That was such a long time ago. Like, it literally blows my mind. And, he then says, we pretty much have similar paths. Was underutilized by WWE at first. Then we toured the Indies, tore it up. And, we weren't ordinary outside of the WWE. And everyone... And then we became verbs. Oh, he did a Cody. He did a Drew. And do you remember our last match we had before we came back? I came back? What I said to you? Put your head down and keep grinding and you'll win the world title. You're going to finish your story, Cody, but not before I finish mine. I love this Drew character. Then Cody Rhodes retorts, alright, there's a lot of people who can win the Royal Rumble this year, but I don't plan on letting any of that happen. I can't count on everyone. And then Drew retorts, I've got a little advice for you, Cody. You need to be yourself. You need to stop being the smiling babyface all the time. And I went through that too once I came back. I wiped it off. And it's time to be real, Cody. And for those who don't like it, you drop them where they stand. Cody retorts, this isn't an act. This is what I love. I made these opportunities for myself, and I relish in my second chance, while you're just complaining about yours. Ooh. Cody with the shots fired. And then Drew pretty much brings up, bringing Jey Uso over from SmackDown, endorsing CM Punk. What is it? Is it to make you happy or to make these people happy? You're standing in my way, Cody, and I'm operating on a different level. And at WrestleMania, this story belongs to me. Ooh, I like it. And then Cody, with a pretty big retort, it's all if with you. Bringing with confidence, and looking to myself and fans about finishing my story. And there's actually a story between us about our last match. Who won? And he's got a point. I remember their last match. It was in a promotion called WCPW. It was in the UK, in England, I believe. It was a barn burner. And yeah, Cody won. And it was great. Go look it up. It's phenomenal. Next up, we got R-Truth backstage. I guess he's, drumming through his merchandise. And then Damian Priest walks up, pretty much saying, look, Judgment Day isn't happy. You're out there in the parking lot shilling our merch. Enough is enough. It's time to get serious here. Then R-Truth brings out a gigantic wad of money, says, here you go. And then Priest's like, what's this? It's your cut. Everyone in Judgment Day is going to get some money. Getting cut. Then, Priest pockets the money. He says to Truth, okay, I'm going to give you a little advice for tonight's tag team match. Don't tag in. And Truth is like, I see what you're saying. Oh, wink. Very obvious. I'm going to say this. I've missed R-Truth. He may not be the best wrestler on the planet, but as a character, he is one of the best to ever do it. And he's just fun. I'm super invested in what he does next. So, our first matchup, we definitely took a bit of a path there. We got Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough of the Judgment Day taking on Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa of DIY. And I'm going to say this match wasn't half bad. It was competitive at first, but then DIY got all their stuff in, including a meet in the middle, which personally I don't like that name. I think they need to revamp that a little bit to pick up the victory. Then we get Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell backstage. They're meeting with GM Adam Pearce. They're talking about future tag title shot. Then Piper Niven and Chelsea Green come in. Chelsea Green's like, well, obviously that match against Chance and Carter was a fluke, and we want our rematch right now. Then Pearce Primo says, you just had your rematch. You don't get another one automatically, and you lost. However, you can earn your way in, because I was just talking to Hartwell and Candice here, and they want a shot too. So coming up later tonight, it's going to be a tag match for the number one contendership. And Chelsea Green's like, we accept. So, that's definitely going to be interesting. Surprised they haven't pulled the trigger on breaking up Niven and Chelsea Green yet. Although I am kind of glad they're doing a really good job of building up the women's tag division. And then we go right into the match as Piper Niven and Chelsea Green take on Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. And it starts off with the horses. That's right, it starts out with Nevin and Indy Hartwell. While not the greatest wrestlers on the planet, they are serviceable as, monsters. Definitely some horse fighting going on in there. And then eventually we get a big moonsault from Candice LeRae to pick up the win for her team. We then get to see Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser walking backstage. They're getting ready for their promo. A random Nia Jax vignette, which, honestly, that was a little weird. Then we get Judgment Day. They're in their clubhouse. With Rhea mentioning the Nia Jax vignette, talking about her getting the world title. Then Priest comes in, pretty much says, look, we have only got one issue to deal with tonight, and that's Drew running his mouth. We need to focus more on what's happening here tonight instead of R-Truth. And unlike you, McDonough, he earns for the crew. Priest brings out his wad of cash. JD McDonough asks, do I get a cut? Priest retorts, there's no name on the shirt. Kind of making fun of JD. And then Finn Balor turns to Damian Priest, says, alright, we need to focus on our match and get things done. So, I do like what they're doing with Judgment Day here. So next up, we get an in-ring promo from mostly Gunther. Kaiser does get his moment, but... So, Gunther gets on the mic, says, we're only 2 weeks from the Rumble, which is crazy. I smell the smell of desperation and excrement, which... Funny line coming from that guy. He continues, when I was gone, I saw my fellow superstars on who is winning the Rumble, and I'm going to remind everyone how I went from first in the Rumble to the last two, and this year I enter myself at the Royal Rumble this year. And I'm going to main event WrestleMania. Now, enough of that. Let's focus on you, Ludwig. He turns to his sidekick, honestly. And I'm going to give you my review on what happened. And what I saw here last couple weeks, I've loved it. You've showed grit, confidence, and courage. Well done. They hug it out. Gunther gives Kaiser the mic. Before he can get a word out, Xavier Woods making his return after a slight injury, I think. I don't know. It was never really revealed. Woods comes out with a microphone, pretty much says, we've got a problem here, Kaiser. You took things too far. You took out my man Kofi. But here I am. I'm ready to go. And I'm ready to get my revenge. Now, will you accept my challenge for a match tonight? Or do you have to ask your daddy first? Turning to Gunther, which, it's a little bit childish, but I got a giggle out of it. Kaiser then gets on the mic, pretty much says, what I did to Kofi last week is nothing compared to what I'll do to you tonight. And then Woods and Kaiser just brawl. Referee separates them. We then get Xavier Woods taking on Ludwig Kaiser. And Kaiser pretty much showing a bit more intensity these days. Kaiser has really stepped up lately. And I really, really like it. So at the time, they're outside the ring. Kaiser grabs one of the announce chairs, which isn't a gig steel chair. It's an office chair. Hucks it at Woods. Woods ducks it, which that was insane. Kaiser then with an eye rake, a drop kick, and then he grabs the office chair again and just whacks Xavier Woods with it to cause the DQ. Actually, no, Woods gets the chair. He hits Kaiser. So Kaiser gets the DQ win. Woods then gets a steel chair from the timekeeper's area. Kaiser with a big old dropkick right into Woods' face, into the chair. Kaiser tries to throw Woods into the steel steps, a la what he did to Kofi Kingston a few weeks ago. Woods with a big old clothesline from the top of the steps. He then picks up the steps, tries to use it as a weapon, misses, and then Kaiser runs out through the crowd, which... Look, I would usually be disappointed at a DQ, but WWE has been doing... What WWE has been doing with Kaiser lately has been really, really good. So I don't mind it. Plus, they're not doing a lot of that these days, which I am very appreciative of. Alright, so next up we got a backstage promo from Bronson Reed. And pretty much sitting in a dark room saying, a man right now who holds gold, sooner than later, it'll belong to Bronson Reed. Short, sweet, to the point. And I think I know who he's talking about. Gunther. And honestly, house fight like that, yes please. Then we get Xavier Woods backstage. Looks like he's about to cut an interview. Pretty much almost screaming, "You saw what he did to Kofi last week." Before he can continue, Ludwig Kaiser attacks Xavier Woods from behind. And then Jey Uso makes the save, which... I mean, I guess they're doing something with him, but it what this feels like is, you know, with TNA back in the day, and I can't believe I'm bringing this up, when Abyss first got out of the psych ward, and he just started saving people. That's kind of what Jey Uso is feeling like right now. Although, I guess it, I don't know, I guess it's showing what he's trying to do to repair his image in the eyes of his co-workers, who have been wronging for the past 2 years or so. So, yeah, definitely could be interesting to see what develops there. And, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Next up, we got Akira Tozawa taking on Ivar. And this did start as an Ivar squash match, including Valhalla taking out Maxine Dupree. But then Tozawa starts getting some offense in, including a big old crossbody, and then hits a power bomb, which that was impressive, to pick up the surprise win. But then post-match, Ivar gets his revenge, including a massive dropkick and a Doomsault, which is a great name for a finisher for that moonsault. It's going to be very, very interesting to see where this goes. And apparently we do kind of get that with the Alpha Academy backstage promo, with Chad Gable pretty much saying, "Tozawa, I'm proud of you, man." And what Ivar did after the match, that was the work of a coward. So next week, Ivar is going to learn the difference between a coward and an alpha, and it's going to come from the head coach. So next week, we're getting Ivar taking on Chad Gable. Yeah, I'm into it. We then get an in-ring promo from Rhea Ripley, who is pretty much saying, I'm so sick of people like Nia Jax claiming that this is their division, when clearly this is my division because I have this title. So whoever wants to waste their WrestleMania after you win your Rumble, you're going to end up like last year, where Mommy is always on top. So, nice little promo. Then Becky Lynch comes out. So, we're starting this program, which, yes, please. With Becky Lynch pretty much saying, look, here's where we stand. We are two very different people, but we have gone on very similar journeys. I've been here spending years trying to figure it out. We've been afterthoughts one year, on top the next. The main difference, I've main evented WrestleMania. And here we stand, the two best to ever do it. But I've got a voice in my head saying that you might be better than me. And I need to prove myself that you're not. I'm going to take that title from you. I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. I'm going to point to the sign. And it's going to be Mommy versus the Man at WrestleMania. Yes, please. Then Rhea Ripley retorts, there's one other person that wants you to see you win the Royal Rumble, and that's me. I'll see you at WrestleMania. So, Rhea versus Becky at WrestleMania, yes, please. Even though it'd probably be a little obvious that Rhea's going to retain, I need this match. Like, that's a WrestleMania tier match. Need it to happen. So then we go backstage to a Seth Rollins interview in which he comments about the cold, and we can actually see his breath. So, do those interviews happen outside? That'd be kind of nutty. So he continues, I've been champ for 200 days. I get better and better after every defense. I've been a fighting champion. And this is not mine and Jinder's first dance. We had our match for the first ever NXT champion. But this is not the same Jinder. This is the best version of Jinder. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Interesting thought. Don't really agree with it, but we'll see that in our main event. Don't you worry. Next up, a very interesting tag team match as we see the reunited Awesome Truth, that's The Miz and R-Truth, taking on the tag team champions, the Judgment Day, that's Damian Priest and Finn Balor. And, with R-Truth, you had him with his orders from Priest, but he starts the match, which apparently wasn't against the rule. So, a lot of decent comedy spots, including Truth crawling to his own corner, only for Balor to drop Miz off the apron. Eventually, Miz does get in. He gets some good, decent enough stuff in. Goes for the skull-crushing finale, but that gets blocked. R-Truth again gets in, hits an axe kick the entire time. He's saying, sorry Finn, it'll never happen again. Then Priest with the South of Heaven, chokeslam, Balor with the cover. Your winners, the Judgment Day. So, I do gotta think eventually Truth is gonna get the message that he's not really in Judgment Day. And once that happens, I think this rivalry will be taken to the next level. As much as I don't want to see it to end, I think eventually it's got to end at some point. Next up, we got a Jinder Mahal interview, and he comes out to crickets. Pretty much saying it's been absolute clarity for me. I've narrowed down to one night. Everyone is unified in me beating Rollins tonight. No. And tonight is my night, and I'm going to take that title. I'm sorry, Jinder. No. Then we get a Shinsuke Nakamura promo. Pretty much saying, Cody, you need to keep your eyes open. Our story doesn't end until I say so. So now I turn my attention to the Royal Rumble. With 20 other men, I feast on their dreams. I didn't catch all of it because he does his promos in Japanese now and has subtitles, which that's great. It adds to the character of Nakamura. But it is a little hard to keep up. Considering I've never spoken another language in my life. So, next up, we got women's tag team action players as Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark take on Tegan Nox and Natalya. This match kind of felt like it had some trouble getting out of first gear. Eventually, it did make it to second gear, but eventually Baszler put in the Karafuda clutch for a quick submission victory. I would have liked this match to have gone on a little longer because we really don't need Jinder Mahal to have a long match. So, overall, it was fine for what it was. Glad Baszler and Stark won. Hopefully, we see them in the title picture soon. And Fine Alamo for Monday Night Raw. And it's for the World Heavyweight Championship as Jinder Mahal takes on Seth Rollins. And of course, Jinder Mahal is being seconded by Indus Sher, including Veer Mahan. And of course, this match was pretty much rest holds to start. Jinder tries to go for the Colossus early. That gets blocked. Seth Rollins misses a stomp. Going a little bit back to rest holds. Then after a big slam, Damian Priest comes out. He has the Money in the Bank. But then he goes to sit on commentary, which, okay, weird. And then this is where the smoke and mirrors comes in. Because you get Veer and I apologize, I don't know the other dude's name in Indus Sher. They try to get involved a little bit. Throw a steel chair in. With the ref distracted. Goes for the Colossus. That gets blocked into a Falcon Arrow. Only for a 2 count. And then Priest stands up from his seat. Looks like he's going to be cashing in. Then over the barricade from the other side is Drew McIntyre. And he and Priest just brawl to the back. So that takes care of that. Then Veer has the Money in the Bank briefcase. Hits Seth Rollins with it with the ref distracted. Jinder with the Colossus for only a 2 count. Indus Sher is then thrown from ringside. Jinder with another Colossus that gets blocked into a stomp for the Seth Rollins retention. Like I said, this was a usual Jinder Mahal smoke and mirrors match. I wouldn't say it was as offensive as his previous WWE title defenses. back in, I want to say that was 2016, 2017. So, yeah, I'm not going to give this a super low. It was fine for what it was. But apparently we can't get off easy, because apparently Seth Rollins has suffered an injury. We don't know the severity of the injury right now, but we may find out on Raw this coming week. So, fingers crossed he doesn't have to vacate the title, or God forbid retire. But I guess we shall see. So that was Raw. You now move into AEW Dynamite. Starts off with a nice vignette of Samoa Joe versus Hook. We then go to our first title match of the evening, and it's for the TNT title, as the Natural Dustin Rhodes takes on Christian Cage. And this match was so much fun. It was just absolute chaos. Nice little back and forth. Dustin with a destroyer, which that gets me every time. Kind of near the end, Nick Wayne does get involved. Trips Dustin off the apron. Goes for a Wayne's World, but that gets caught. And Dustin hits him with a destroyer. Takes out Kill Switch, aka Luchasaurus. Gets back in the ring. Christian Cage with a spear. Hits one Kill Switch for a 2 count. But then hits another one right after it to win and retain. A white hot open for AEW Dynamite, and I'm interested to see what Christian Cage does next. Next up, we got a Swerve Strickland interview, pretty much saying, look, I got my eyes everywhere. It doesn't matter who walks out of the main event tonight. I'm going to be there to challenge them. And who they talking about coming out of the Continental Classic? I'm looking to get the title. Hangman Page has been an impeccable champion, but he couldn't beat me. I got nothing more to prove to him or anyone else. And that moves on. We then get a Chris Jericho interview. Can this guy please take a break? Like, for real. He brings up how the title was ripped from mine and Sammy Guevara's hands by the Callis family. It took what's ours. No, you were getting pretty much dominated in that match. Brings up Takeshita and their match in Tokyo, which I completely forgot about. But I am going to seek and destroy you. And that was a weird promo. And it gets even weirder, because interrupting is Matt Sydal. Pretty much saying, look, you need to get your mojo back, and the only way to do that is getting in the ring, so we can do our match on Rampage. And Jericho pretty much says, look, I gotta let up pent up aggression. Be careful what you wish for. So, looks like we're getting that matchup. Next up, in tag team action, we got the All-Atlantic champion, international champion, Orange Cassidy, teaming with Trent Beretta to take on Penta El Zero Miedo and Commander. And I'm going to say this teaming is very, very interesting. As their usual partners are also out there. Chuck Taylor with the Best Friends, and Rey Fenix with Commander and Penta. This match was a lot of fun to watch. It was very chaotic. It was a little bit all over the place. But eventually they did get it done with an orange punch into a pile driver by Beretta. So your winners, Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. Post-match, Trent, Chuck, and Orange go for the best friend post-match hug, which I love that spot. But it gets interrupted by the Undisputed Kingdom, aka Roderick Strong and the Kingdom. They surround the ring. They all get in the ring. Strong has a microphone. He pretty much says, look, I heard what you said to others. You came out here, and I came out here to say this to you. I could just end you right now, but I came out here to say it to you. But I'm not going to take you out. You've been a fighting champion ever since you won that back. And instead of defending this title tonight, you're in a tag team match. Has it become too much for you? Because that title actually belongs to me. I'm coming for it, and you cannot face that fact. And I'm here to make you face it. And why don't we just do it right here, right now? So, Strong and Cassidy look like they're getting ready. But then Strong gets back on the mic. Actually, I'm going to have you wait until Revolution, which is in March. So that is a long time. Pretty much says, I want you to live with the fact that you're keeping my title warm for me. And I'm coming for it. So, interesting little segment. We finally get the Undisputed Kingdom interacting with some other guys. And, yeah, we'll see how good that match is. It's probably going to be the best. Then we get a Hangman Adam Page interview. He starts by just pacing. Then he starts, I've been thinking back the past 5 years. I needed that world title. I wanted to win the title, win it, put my name on it, and keep it for as long as I can. And then Swerve, you obviously think about me a lot. You aren't my world champion. Joe is. So, keeping that Swerve Adam Page rivalry going, we then get a Jay Briscoe promo in which he said, it's been a full year since we lost Mark, and my niece, who was in the car with him during his accident, the doctors told her she would never be able to walk again, but now, out she walks. We're here, we're them boys, and we're not going anywhere. So, nice little moment for that. Then we get a nice, just a heartbreaking tribute to Mark Briscoe. That was really, really tear-jerking, man. Then we have a real tonal shift as we have a sit-down backstage interview with the Young Bucks, and they ask the interviewer to show them a little more respect and introduce us by our God-given names, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. They continue, we're going to take this job as EVPs a little bit more seriously. Then Renee brings up the supposed rumors about them. Pretty much say, they retort, rumors? You don't believe anything about that, do you? That's all fake. What would you be willing to do to protect your company? Would you be willing to lose connections to coworkers/friends? We'd do it all over again. Back in the early days of AEW, we changed the world. But then some toxic old-timers came in and they changed the perception of the company. It was different. So now we're done about leaning on past superstars. Except for Sting. Sting is a different person, but it's what Sting represents. And it's not in line what we saw in the AEW. And when we say goodbye to Sting, we say goodbye to anyone like Sting. And then we see Matt Jackson look at his phone, show Nick, and they're like, alright, we gotta go, we got a job to do. And they walk off. I'm gonna say this, I am really loving what they're doing with the Young Bucks right now. It's definitely corporate, not really general manager, but like authority figure. So seeing the Young Bucks in this role is definitely way different than what they've done. So I'm willing to wait and see to what happens next. Next up, we got the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles on the line, as Austin and Colton Gunn, along with Jay White, challenge Brian Cage, Toa Liona, and Bishop Khan for the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles. And honestly, this was an absolutely fantastic bout. Nice and breezy. At times you saw Jay White going for the the Blade Runner, but that often gets blocked by the bigger dudes. Bishop Khan near the end goes for a gutbuster, only gets a 2 count. Then Prince Nana comes in, grabs one of the Ring of Honor tag straps. Then down comes Anthony Bowens of the Acclaimed to stop Prince Nana. Then Jay White with the roll-up for only a 2 count. A blocked pedigree right into a Blade Runner, where your winners and new Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions, Bullet Club Gold. And we see the Acclaimed. They're on the stage. They acknowledge each other. Are we going to see the Bang Bang Scissor Gang coming soon? Honestly, I kind of hope so. Then we go backstage for a Adam Cole promo with Wardlow just standing there, with Adam Cole hyping up Wardlow, pretty much saying he's the greatest wrestler in history, and now he's going to run over everyone in his way, all the way to the world title. And Wardlow just kind of nods. So it does look like we're taking a bit of a step back for Wardlow. He's kind of just the heavy for Adam Cole, which it did work with him with MJF, but I don't know. I don't love that. But I guess we'll see. We then get Toni Storm out on commentary for this next match as Deonna Purrazzo takes on Anna Jay. And this match was a really underrated one. Lots of really good back and forth. Anna Jay tries for the Queen Slayer, which gets countered right into an armbar, which gets in which Anna Jay gets in the ropes. Then after a little while longer, Purrazzo with the armbar right into the Venus de Milo for the tap-out victory. And post-match, Purrazzo and Anna Jay shake hands. We then get the start of a Deonna Purrazzo interview. And then she turns to Toni Storm, saying, "Toni, I don't know what's gotten into you. We used to be like sisters when we would travel up and down the road together. You've obviously changed, but so have I. Because you've never met with the virtuosa." Then Toni Storm retorts, "Oh, you're technical, eh? You artificially tan hag." Which, that's interesting choice of words. And then Toni Storm takes off her chancla, tosses it at Purrazzo, who catches it, tosses it back. Then Mariah May and Purrazzo start tossing it at each other. So, rivalry definitely getting a little bit silly, but I'm weirdly here for it. Next up, a battle of the young tag teams, and I am so glad both are healthy now. And we got this match as Top Flight with Darius and Dante Martin takes on Private Party of Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy. No more Brother Zane, it's Isaiah Cassidy. And this match did start off a little slow, although I believe that was deliberate. But eventually it did pick up. Pace was picked up, a lot of high flying, including with a bunch of dives to the outside. And then eventually, Private Party with the gin and juice, which I completely forgot was their finisher, to pick up the win. Then out comes Action Andretti, backing up Private Party. Top Flight. They argue for a bit because apparently something happened there. So, it looks like we're going to get a future match with these guys, which, yeah, I'm down. We then get a very weird compilation vignette in which it was revealed Sting and Darby Allin want the tag titles. In which, okay, sure, yeah, let's give them a weird little run. And finally, for Dynamite, we get the AEW World Title match between Samoa Joe and Hook. And Hook, hot right out of the gate, starts just ripping on Joe right to start. Joe eventually does fight back, and he just dominates, including with a big old powerbomb from on the apron. Eventually we do see doctors checking on Hook. He eventually does get up, beat the 10 count, but runs right into a power slam, only for a 1 count. A Death Valley driver for a 2 count. Joe hits a muscle buster, but that only gets a 1. Then Hook fights back, tries for the red rum, but that gets countered right into Kina clutch, in which Hook doesn't tap out. He just fades. And then the ref does the 3 arm drops. So your winner, it's Samoa Joe. Now Joe does go to leave. The doctors are checking up on Hook. Hook stands up. Joe gets back in the ring. And they just start. Joe starts fighting with Hook a little bit more. Then out for the save, it's Hangman Adam Page. Runs off Samoa Joe. And you see Swerve Strickland out in the crowd. Hook then leaves the ring. And then we see Hangman and Swerve stare down. Swerve gives Hangman a little this. And then walks off. And yeah, that's how Dynamite ends. Now, I've seen the divisiveness online about, the Hook ruined the Muscle Buster. It's not an effective finisher. Dude, that wasn't the story going in. It was Hook's toughness. They made Hook look like $1 million in this loss against a far more dominant opponent. And, yeah, I can't wait to see what Hook does next. Hopefully it's something interesting. So that is that for Dynamite. We then go back to promotion I'd never see with this branding again. It's TNA presents Impact Wrestling. We start off with an X Division scramble match as Kushida takes on Trey Miguel of the Rascals, Laredo Kid, Speedball Mike Bailey, the AAA Mega Champion El Hijo del Vikingo, and the powerhouse Jake Something. And this match went a mile a minute. Like, this match was just bam, 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 bam. Move after move after big move. Vikingo with a big old DDT from the top rope. Mike Bailey with a big old Spanish fly runs into the void by Jake something, who picks up the win. Like, yeah, what a way to kick off the TNA era. This is going to be interesting. So next up, we got a backstage interview with Will Ospreay. And yes, it's that Will Ospreay. Says, "Hey, you cheeky bitch. You remember me? I come in and left you down. And I'm only here for one reason. Those 3 beautiful letters. And now it's time to see if you can step up to me. And this is your one last chance to put me down. But can you handle that pressure?" Ooh. Will Ospreay laying it on thick for the former Impact World Champion. We then get an Ash by Elegance vignette, which, okay, yeah, that's interesting. And, yeah, I'm interested to see what the former Miss Dana Brooke does here in TNA. We then get a Giselle Shaw backstage promo, pretty much saying, "Did you see what I did out there?" And whoever, Grace, our new champion, you better keep your big head on a swivel, because I'm coming for you. Then in comes Gail Kim, goes for a little hug, but then Shaw kind of pushes her away a little. With Gail Kim pretty much saying, "Look, you see what you did? You didn't need your Shaw entourage. You did it all on your own, and that's the Shaw I know." And then Shaw kind of looks at her kind of sideways and just walks off. And Gail Kim does have a point. Giselle Shaw has kind of been held back a little by her team. And, yeah, we'll see what develops there. Next up, we got Tasha Steele making her Impact return to take on Xia Brookside, who made her TNA debut in Ultimate X. But now this is her first one-on-one contest. And honestly, this was a lot more fun than I thought it would be. A lot of really good back and forth. And then eventually Xia hits the Brooksy Bomb to pick up the win. So, gonna be interesting to see what Miss Brookside brings to the table. And, yeah, we'll see. We then get a Joe Hendry backstage promo talking about what happened to him at Hard to Kill, where he was taken out by the former Top Dollar. I forget his name in TNA. And then he brings up the Cheez-It Championship, which is, I guess, something he got at one of the college bowl games, which is weird. With Joe Hendry continuing, you obviously gotta have your head on a swivel, looking for challengers. But I'm gonna call it a day. And while it wasn't a total loss, I got a laptop out of it, which was the laptop that was broken on him at Hard to Kill. But it doesn't really work. Oh well, I'll throw it in with the other trash. So he throws it on top of DJ Hood, whatever his name is, who Joe Hendry apparently put in there. So, looks like AJ Francis, who is the former Top Dollar, is going to be with TNA for a little bit, which, yeah, I'm for. Next up, we get a very interesting tag team match player as the Grizzled Young Veterans. That's James Drake and Zach Gibson take on Frankie Kazarian and Eric Young, a.k.a. the TNA OGs. I'm going to call them that from now on. And this match, I wouldn't say it was very well thought out, but overall the match itself was a little boring at the beginning, but eventually it did get to the second gear. Eventually, an errant strike from Kaz to Eric Young cost the match. And Grizzled Young Veterans with a grit your teeth finisher to pick up the win. Now, Grizzled Young Veterans go to the back. EY and Kaz are in the ring. Looks like Kaz is checking on EY a little. But then Kaz with a big old clothesline to EY continues the attack. And then hits a fade to black. So we get we're getting a heel Frankie Kazarian going forward, which could be interesting. I'm looking forward to that. We then get a promo from the System, who is sitting in Vegas in a restaurant having dinner. So the System is the newest stable in TNA. It's made of Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, Alicia Edwards, and our new World Heavyweight Champion, Moose. Basically, food is comped by the champ. They went off how the System did during Hard to Kill. And, of course, acknowledged the new World Heavyweight Champion, Moose. And they come out with a new catchphrase. It's more than obvious the System works, which I love that catchphrase. Hopefully it catches on. Myers continues. No one can stop us. It's a new beginning for us all. And then Moose chimes in. It's obvious I'm the new champ. I don't want to be known as Mr. TNA or Mr. Impact or the world-class athlete anymore. I just want to be known as Mr. TNA World Heavyweight Champion. We're going to prove to everyone that you can trust the System. So, yeah, that's going to be a very interesting stable going forward. I am optimistic, let's say. So then next we get a Nick Nemeth in-ring promo. If you don't know who that is, it is the former Dolph Ziggler, who I am very surprised to see here. I honestly thought he'd be a WWE Forever guy, but now, yeah, he's here. So he pretty much says, look, this is going to be getting used to. I've only done this really in one place, so this is going to be new to me. In my 19 years, I've done a whole heck of a lot, but I've only done it in one place. And I'm intimidated, I'm scared, I'm excited. I picked my time and my place, and I faced off with the new World Heavyweight Champion, and I'm going to be beat and become the World Champion. And when I do, I'm going to celebrate here with everyone. Now, out of respect for the locker room, I am not just going to ask and be giving a title shot. This is my day one here. It starts here and now, and this is where I earn it. And I'm going to do it here for the first time as Nick Nemeth. So, nice fired up promo from Mr. Nemeth. Going to be interesting to see where he goes. Out comes former world champion Steve Maclin. And he says, Nick, I agree with you. Well, this is what I told myself when I got here. I've come from the same place, and I've come here to TNA. And I worked my way to the top, and I got there. We are very similar, and when I said it, I meant it. And when I look at you, all I see is a big phony. Woo! And then he continues, I can tell you're nothing but a big old phony. You just say you give and you give and you give because you love it, but you never took anything. And right now, you're here to take. You're here to suck the blood of TNA and then go apply your craft somewhere else. This is my place. And no one is going to remember the name Nick Nemeth. All they're going to say is, whatever happened, hell happened to Dolph Ziggler. Ooh, that's obviously fighting words. Dolph Ziggler with a big old right hand into the Danger Zone, which I love that as a finisher name. AKA, it's the Zigzag. So, yeah. Nick Nemeth taking on Steve Maclin to start out Nick Nemeth's TNA run. I like it. Let's do it. We then get a backstage interview from new Knockouts champ Jordynne Grace, who pretty much says, Hard to Kill was an incredible night. It was an honor to take part of it, and I couldn't have asked for a more worthy challenge. Then Trinity comes in, the former Naomi. She pretty much says, look, Jordynne, you obviously earned that title, but I do get my rematch, and I'm going to exercise my rematch next week. And I'm going to be walking out as the new Knockouts champion. And Jordynne Grace replies, let's run it back. So that match is going to be interesting. I'm very excited for that. Next up, we get a promo from Jay Vidal, who is pretty much from Vegas, so that's nice. Then he says, as I look around, I am reminded of why I left, and there is no one person in this building tonight that can beat me up. And lights go out. In starts a gurney surrounded by some doctors. We then kind of get a couple of sparks going. Upsets Perfect Creation 1, aka PCO. And this starts the match. This match was pretty much all PCO, which he hits. Jay Vidal tries one-upping PCO first. Big, massive clothesline into a choke slam into the PCO salt for the win for PCO. Yeah, I don't mind a squash match here or there. Gonna build PCO back up and hopefully into a worthy challenger one day. We then get a backstage promo from the Motor City Machine Guns, where they recap their night for Hard to Kill. And then they bring up their history with Okada in the company, which is very interesting. And they say, there's no one we'd rather be tagging with than Okada against the system. Then in walks Okada, pretty much saying, next week I return to TNA, which that is wild. Like, I would never have thought I'd see the day. And why that's wild is because back in the day, in like 2009, 2010, Okada did have an excursion to TNA while he was under a New Japan contract. When he was a young boy, he started off as himself, but then they weirdly teamed it up with Samoa Joe and made him Okado, a parody of a character from the Green Hornet, which that moment pretty much sullied the working relationship between New Japan and TNA. Now that does seem to be repaired, and we're getting Okada next week. I can't wait. And finalamo, we got our main event of the evening as the walking weapon Josh Alexander takes on the assassin Will Ospreay. And good lord, this match was just as good as their first bout. There was too much to see. There is not a ton of praise I could say for this match. This was really good back and forth. Lots of counters to finishers. Near the end, Josh Alexander kicked out of a hidden blade and got out of a countered a Styles Clash, only for a 2 count. Then Josh Alexander with a C4 spike to pick up the win. So that's not how it ends, as we get Scott D'Amore coming out, bringing up his history with the business, how he loved seeing this since he was 4 years old, spent 30 plus years in the business, and then I came here, I saw the lowest of the lows in TNA, and I seen the corpse that was here, watched the fans, Josh and the Will Ospreay, roll up their sleeves and pump the heart until blood flowed again. And that sound never died because of you guys and everyone in that locker room gave us something to live and fight for. I'm happy because TNA is back and just saw 2 of the best have the match of my life. TNA is back and it's never going away. And the show ends with that iconic theme song, which I'm not going to sing because it would be awful and I'd probably get copyright struck. But, that song brings me back to some better times, man. Just like Ospreay, just like Alexander, I'm a TNA kid. When I was sick and tired of seeing Randy Orton and John Cena dominate the main event scene in WWE, I stopped watching. And then, just channel surfing, I stopped on Spike TV and saw TNA for the first time. I saw guys like the Latin American Exchange, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, the Motor City Machine Guns, ODB, Gail Kim, Awesome Kong, and many, many more that I absolutely love. And I am just so dang happy TNA is back and they're in a much better place. So, that is it for that. I hope you guys enjoyed. Coming next week, obviously Monday, gonna recap SmackDown, Rampage, and Collision. Then I think on Wednesday, I'm gonna bring back something I haven't done in a little bit. And that's predictions, where I'm gonna predict the Royal Rumble in its entirety. So we got a couple matches. And I'm gonna try to do something a little different. Instead of just predicting the winners of the Royal Rumble, I'm gonna try to predict where each entrant. And that's going to be interesting because there's a lot of options. And I'm hyped for it. I hope you guys are too. So I'll see you next time. And until then, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.